All right, so we have 4 states, the cards that we show in the UI, and initial default value for those are coming from the function, which basically takes the cards and shuffles them, right? Right over here, card images, and it will return the shuffled card array. And these turns will count our turns, right? As soon as we click 2 cards, it will be counted as 1 turn. If they match, then that's good. If they don't match, we'll just keep clicking those. And click 1 and click 2, as we know from the original game, right? If I click 1 card, it will stay open until I click the next card. Okay, click 1 will be the first card that I clicked, and click 2 will be the second card that I clicked. If this guy is matching, which didn't match, it will just close it out right away. Okay, that's what we did last time. So click 1 for each click. The clicks were happening inside this single card, right? Handle card click. If I go down to a single card, we were basically clicking these images, and we were passing the card that we clicked and assigning that card into our click 1. Now, click 1 was an object. Click 2 is also an object that they represent this object right here. Now, each card was representing an object which have src matched ID as a properties for that object, and they have, of course, they have values. Now, where we left off was that we did this one already. So in my first click,
Azamat, please, can I see what you have inside the function line 13?
Line 13, yes.
The shuffle card. Can I see?
Shuffled card, yeah. Flip card, hit remote. Actually, did I share you guys the code?
You shared with us in
I did.
back, yes.
Cool. Yeah, it's also in the Zoom chat. Let's open that up. If you open that the GitHub, you will see that src utils and utils.js has this shuffle card function. Don't pay attention too much on this one. This is not something that you guys need to memorize.
Yeah.
It can be found online, right? How to shuffle array in JavaScript. You guys will find multiple options to shuffle items inside the array, and this one is one of them. Once we shuffle them right here, we map it again to create another new array. In the new array, we were adding IDs for each item. Now, initially, they don't have IDs. This map will make sure that every single one of them have IDs. All right, this mat.random, the string slice was basically generating us an individual ID. Okay, these are the IDs. You can definitely use UUID to generate individual IDs for this one. It's up to you guys, but we just used mat.random. Cool. So handle card click, as we said that when we click card, it will stay open until we click the next card. And click it card that's number 1. Okay. And if I click next one, for now it's still open. Okay. For now it is still open because we haven't done any logic yet with our click it card. All right. So right over here, this logic right here will make sure that if I have my first card click it, then I have to set my second card. If my first card is not click it, then I have to set my first card, right? In this case, if I click the number 3, like a third time, what happens now? Since I already have this, so since I already have click 1, right? That's the first card. From now on, I will always set my second card, right? Basically, if I click the third or whatever the number next, I will always replace my second card because I already have my first card clicked. So click it. Yep, I replace this one with this one. Now, if I click this guy, I replace this one with this one. Okay, it's not gonna replace this first card. It will always replace the second card because click one, we already have click one. We do have a card click it already. That's why we set the second card. We just replace the second card all the time, right? But what is this actually doing right here? The first one stays there until we click the second card. As soon as I click the second card, see, right over
Yes.
here, we need to compare right here in our use effect. What is it
Mm.
changing? Click one and click two is changing. And in here, we have to make sure that we have both of them first. If I have both of them first, right? Both of them are valid numbers, truthy values. In this case, I have to check. If click one and click two, okay, we go inside and we say if, again, click one dot src is equal to
Why not ID?
oh, the IDs will be different, right? I think I answered that question last time. So
Oh, yeah, yeah.
IDs are very different.
ID are different, yes. We are
Yeah.
using random.
Yep, we use random IDs and all of them, since we do have duplicate
I understand it,
right?
yes.
Yep. So the IDs are different. So we have to go by SRC. That refers to this guy right here. Okay. These will be basically like an ID. So we need to compare if click one.src and click two.src matches. Okay, so console.log cards match. Right? And else I will just bring this guy over here. Cars do not match. All right, save it. I will just remove this guy for now. Maybe just remove this one completely. Cool. I saved it. So now this is my first card. And if I click the second card, cards do not match. Okay. Cards do not match. Let's try to find this guy right here. Cards match right here. You guys see right here? Because these cards match.
Yes.
Cool. Cards do not match. So if the cards match, what do I have to do? If the cards match, what do I have to do is go back to my cards image right here and change their match it, right? Change their match it to true for both cards. Okay. Now this shuffled card array right here. Now this part right here was equal to, right? This part right here was equal to basically this array.
2 times.
Two times, yes, exactly. Right, two times. If somehow, of course, they have IDs after this shuffled card, but if somehow they match, then this guy will be true, right? The helmet, and over here, the helmet will be true too. We need to basically convert the match it for both click one and click two cards. Okay, we have to go in there and replace or just change the values for the match it property. So basically it's going to be right over here as we said, right? Of course, I have to change it inside my set cards. I will just grab it and usually we create the deep copy of our cards, but in this case we'll just do the functional version, right? It's going to be previous cards. Okay, previous cards, and we will just return a new array, but we will just map it first, right? We'll just map the previous card. And inside this mapping, we have to make sure that we find these guys matching these guys, and we'll just change the matched property of the objects. So previous cards that map, and we have individual card. Okay, this is what happens right over here. And we say if card.src is equal to click1.src, right? If it's matching, in that case, we have to do card. Actually, we need to return, right? This map. In this map right here, we are either return a new object. We have to return a new object. This object will contain the value, the remaining values for the card. Right? The card was an object, as we remember. And what we're changing is here is match it. Match it will return to true. The same thing for our click2. In this case, it's going to be click2, right? Card.src click2. If it's matching with the click2 src, then return this one. Okay. If both of them don't match, what we need to return? We need to return still a new object, but just the contents of the object. That's it. Okay. If in each loop, right? In the first loop, if this one is matching, it will just return this one, and it will ignore all of these returns, right? It will just continue matching the cards. At some point in the loop, if this one is matching, okay, it will basically, this one doesn't match, it will ignore it. And if this one is matching, it will just do the trick, and it will return this object. It will just ignore this one. But if none of these match for all other cards, then we will just keep returning this value so that our new array out of this mapping will be assigned back to our cards. Are we clear here?
Yes.
Cool. This is how we can set the cards to match it. Okay, what happens of the after cards match?
Disabled.
We have to disable those cards, right? We have to make sure that they're not clickable anymore. So we need to create a new state. We'll just call it cards disabled. Set cards disabled. Use state. What? Let's just put it as false initially. And of course, we'll just pass this guy down to our single card. All right, right over here is disabled. We know that we can put anything we would like to name it, right? For our props is disabled. Cards disabled. Now we are grabbing this as a props right over here. Okay, what do we need to do over here?
Like if you
We can either put a class name or some sort of attribute for individual HTML tags, right? Or what we can do here is that this guy right here, this onClick will make sure all of these cards are clickable. But we can manipulate this the function that in this function invocation based on this.
And true.
Yes. If disabled is true, then ignore clicking it.
So you also could just flip, right? If it's not flip, since flip is now false. If it's not flip, it's gonna be true. Oh no, actually, it's disabled. It's easier. Yes, it's disabled and then true.
Yes, if you flip it back, then it will be just a regular clickable, right?
Agree.
I mean, different kind of logics can be applied to this one, right? I mean, you can put like click it, and if they're matching, just make sure that they disappear, like there's nothing in here, like a black space, right? That's not clickable. That can be definitely done. But another logic is that we'll just grab this guy, okay, and we'll check if, make it clickable. If is disabled, of course, it has to be not, right? If this one is false, not false means basically handle card click. If this one is true, right? Not true means false. Will not run this function. Will not run that function.
Just add and operator, like is disabled and handle card click.
Is disabled?
So-
Yeah. What's the question?
I mean, like make it the Turner operator. It's more readable. This. Or unit else condition.
Oh, for this one, I mean, you want to do this logic right here. So ignoring this. Is disabled,
And yes,
handle card click, and pass the card.
So it means that and
If-
operator returns the false, right? First one. Okay.
no, it's beginning true gonna be.
Uh,
Yeah. So if this one is false, okay, if this one is false, then not false means true. If this side is true, we'll run the right side. Okay. So not false and hello. It will run the hello. But if it was not true and type hello, it's going to be false.
So now the inside, so in this here, in this, so it returned to false.
True.
Yeah, okay. Terminal operator, it was not, it was false? No?
So
Probably not, probably
Yeah.
opposite. Okay.
Initially, it's false. Since we are using that восклицательный знак, it's gonna be true. If it's true, then is the handle click gonna work. When we change it to the true, the handle click for that exactly card is not gonna work.
Yeah, I know, but in the line 10, it would be opposite, right? In 10, you are saying if it's the false, then return the handle click, right?
If
no,
it's
we're not returning
No,
anything.
no, returning, but it's not,
just clicking
it's
it,
not
yeah.
returning, but it's gonna execute the in the handle card, so you're giving the condition.
if
Yeah.
it's true,
Yeah,
if
yes, yeah. Okay, I understand.
Okay, in
But
this
for
case,
me, I will read like if it's false, then handle card click will execute.
if it's false, yes, not false, then this one will execute. Yes, exactly.
not false.
True. This one is, if they are not false, yes, not false will be true. That's why we execute this code block. If it is true, right? If it is true, then it is disabled, so we're not clicking it anymore. We're not executing this handle card click.
So in the short, if inside the if it's the false, right?
Okay, so I prefer using this if, right? Because this way
It's
of
same.
it is same, but right here we are returning something out of this click.
Okay.
Okay, so this is basically, if I had this curly braces, and we should have like return is disabled, something like that. But we're not returning anything. Okay?
Are you planning to return something here then?
No, if you do this one, it is returning something. Because we don't have curly braces and we don't have return keyword.
Yeah.
But if you do this one right here without the curly braces and without the return keyword, which means you are returning something.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense? Like right here. It's
For
over
me,
here.
it's the same.
So let's convert this guy right here.
Oh my God.
constant. We're just returning back to the basics, all right? Just kidding. A plus B, right? A plus B. So if I have A, B, I'll just comment out this one right here. Okay. If I run this one right here, it returns a 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Basically, this one is equal to, we have a curly braces and we have a keyword
Yeah.
A plus B. And it's the same thing. But we're not returning anything out of this, our function. What we're doing is we're running another function. Okay. We're running another function, handle function, handle run. This one is just console.logging, right? Console.log, for instance, just A. And over here, we'll just do handle run, and we're just passing function A. We're not returning anything. Okay, it's just console.logging A. This is what we are doing. But if you do this one right here, without the curly braces and without the return keyword, then you are returning something. So in
Is
that
it
case,
bad to return something?
not necessarily, no. Not necessarily, right? But we're just trying to avoid some additional stuff that we're not supposed to do it, okay?
So what we are
Like to
returning
apply
now.
this one right here, if you'd like to apply it,
Mhm.
that's fine with me, all right? But for now, we'll just keep this guy like this. All right, so if this is basically inside over here, we're trying to do not false. Okay, the false is basically is disabled. If is disabled is false for all of these cards, right? For all of these cards right now, they have is disabled false. That's why they are clickable. Okay, but it's at some point if I make sure that come back utils, and let's say this one is true, all of them is true, right? My card is refreshed.
We didn't change the disabled to true in the WSX.
Oh yeah, right. The cards disabled. Yeah, we didn't change it. I was like, why it's not changing it? Okay. We have to come back to
Use effect.
set cards right here, right? Set cards, match it true. When I click right here, this is where I need to change. Actually, it has to be before if click 1 and click 2 are
Yeah. Agree.
all right.
If they match it,
Right.
then make
Set cards disabled, which is basically turning to true.
Mhm.
Okay, so we are setting all of these cards disabled. Okay, right now, click 1 and click 2 are matched, and they are true, and we are able to flip it, and they're clickable. All right, but right now, I'm not able to click any more cards right now. I'm not able to click any more cards.
Mhm.
But at some point, right, I should be able to reset the card clicks, right? I should be able to reset the card clicks. I'm checking if these guys are matching, right? We do all the tricks over here. If they match, we're just changing the match it to true for all of them. Okay, we're doing everything inside our if. And if they match, we're converting the match it true for those cards that are matching. Right over here, I have to put a set timeout
Here or inside of else?
Well, inside this if else statement.
No, I mean like you see you have else in line 58. I thought over there, if they didn't match it, they click 1 and click 2, the else condition, or it's not the else condition. I
We
thought
actually can eliminate this else part. We basically don't need them, right? I mean, what do we need for this part right here if they don't match? We're not doing anything else if they don't match. We're just console logging it, right? What we can do in else part? What do we need? What we care about is if they match. If they match, right? If they match, then make sure that the matched property in the object will turn back to true. If they don't match, we just need to reset the card, like flip it back to the original part. Right? So we have to time it, like what do we need to do reset? What do we need to reset? Okay, we have to time it right over here. So set timeout. We have callback function, and maybe after 1 second, right? 1,000 milliseconds. After 1 second, after we compare everything over here, we just need to reset back to everything over here. So
what
set,
if you create some const the function outside, like reset everything, since you
we
didn't
can definitely do that. Yes, that's a good idea. So constant, we might have to reuse this function in some other places. That's a good idea. So we can just call it reset card click function. Okay, so we'll just grab this guy and put it right over here.
Yeah,
Maybe
you can
we'll
put everything inside the click 1, click 2, the turn, disabled, everything inside the preset.
Yes, exactly. So set click 1, back to null, set click 2, back to original values, right? Because all of them has click 1 and click 2 were null initially. All right. Oh, of course, we have to increase the terms, right? No matter if they're matching or if they're not matching, we still have to increase the terms, right? Set terms, previous terms, plus 1. All right.
Set disabled.
Yes, so set cards disabled, back to false. All right.
Did you put timer for the set timeout?
For the set timeout, we did put the timer.
Timer.
Yes.
Okay.
The timeout, 1 second. Okay. Cards do not match. See, I'm not able to click other cards, guys. So I click 2 cards. Sorry. See, I'm not able to click other cards. 1, 2. I'm not able to click other cards. Let's try to find matching cards. Think this guy and this guy. Now this guy and
Cards
this.
match. Yeah, cards match.
So the cards match, but it's not displaying though.
Since
Yeah.
we didn't change it, the display.
What did we? Oh,
If they match it, we didn't do anything. We just changed the matched key, but that's it.
if they match it, we are changing this match it to true though.
Mhm.
Or are we not doing anything with that? Okay, so one thing that we've didn't put right over here, guys, right? We have to compare the matched part too. They have to stay flipped, right? We said that if the card is equal to click 1, which will we click it, right? It will stay open because it's flipped. Or if the card is equal to click 2, right? We click it again, second card, both of them will stay open. At the same time, we have to put or if the
Card
card
matched.
that match it. If the card that match it is true, then they should stay open. Right? They should stay open. Card that match it. Now in this case, so we put the match it over here. That's going to be flip it. If flip it is true, we put the flip it. All right.
But you put, yeah.
What's going on over here? The false, false, false. Do we need to refresh the page? Yeah, we do need to refresh the page. Yeah, I think it didn't pick up the last time. So now if I click, they don't match. I need to find something that matches. Okay, here we go. If I click this guy and if I click this guy, cards match. As you guys can see, even though 1 second passed inside my set timeout right here, we are resetting everything, right? We're resetting everything, but our card is still, both of them are matched and they're not clickable. Right? They're and they will stay open because of that flip it, right? Flip it props that we are passing over here. If the card match click 1 or if the card click 2 or they have matched property in the object, then we can flip the cards and keep them as like that. Again, all of them was reset back, right? All of them are disabled. Now we are able to keep going with our card clicks. Now if I click this guy and this guy, see, card match, and they will stay flipped.
Can you show your turn size increasing? The
It's in card.
turns in UI.
Oh, the turns. Okay, so the turns will be this one right here. So if I click this one, they're matching. Yeah, number 8. If I click this guy, if they're matching, they're not matching, but we'll still count the turns. We still count the turns right over here, no matter whether they match or not.
But there should the cut should be as you show.
Say that again, please.
Why are you like first finding you one picture and okay, let's say first you try to find picture and if it doesn't match, so you start to look for another one. So if if you find the one that matches with the previous one, you're opening again. It seems like a little bit. It should be not be like that.
That's how the game works right here, right? That they don't match, it will just close right away. Right? The plus, oh sorry, where was the plus? Plus this plus and this plus match. See, they disappear. Right? They disappear. They're not clickable anymore. But in our case, we're not making sure that they're disappeared. We're just keeping them open, keeping them flipped.
Can you start from Azamat? Can you refresh them and
this guy?
no the code.
Oh, right here? Yeah, refresh the page. Yep, we're starting from scratch now. Yep. Number of turns are 0. We have not clicked any cards yet. All right. The same thing does with the new game. If I click new game, it will give us a new game, right? Because we set a handle card shuffle. Handle card shuffle will just set cards, blah, blah, blah. Cool. So if I click this first card, it will stay there until I click the second card. As soon as I click the second card, I start the timer right here. Right? As soon as I click the second card, I start the timer. But of course, before I start the timer, I have to go through this if else statement, right? So if I click this guy right here, they match? No, just return it back.
Okay.
I'm doing the logic over here, right? If they match, do this logic. If they don't match, just constant.log, cards don't match, do not match, and run this set timeout. And after 1 second, I'm resetting the card click function. This card click function will just set all the click 1, click 2, set turns. It will increase the turns, and the set cards disabled. It is false now. The cards are back and clickable right now. All of these cards are clickable right now. If I click it again, the first one will stay there, right? And the second one, if they match, we'll convert the match it to true. If they don't match, right, they will just return back to the original flip it version. This guy and this guy, all right? Since they match, we are converting this match it to true. And the logic right over here, the flip it says that if card equal to click one, or the card equal to click 2, or the card has the matched true. If it is true, the flip it will be true for that card, for that single card. Now, since they both match, we have two, right? We have two cards with the matching true. We have, for instance, this ring 1 is a true, and the other ring 1 is also true. That's why they stay flipped. Right?
So it means the flip it 86 all is true, right? All it matches.
For the cards, if they match or if they are clicked.
Okay, okay. The okay. Match
Right?
also has
They
to be
click.
around.
Yep. If I click first one, right, it will stay flipped forever. Right? Because I do not reset card clicks if my only one card is valid. Right? This if inside my if right here, I do have reset function. Right? I do not run my reset function unless I click at both of these guys. As soon as I click the second one, I run this if else statement, and I do have set timeout that will run reset card click function after 1 second. Okay, if I click card after 1 second, right? They will either stay flipped or they will just go back to the original image. All right, they match, they stay there. Cool. Any questions here? If no questions, I would like to put a timer. In here, right here, we do have timer, okay? The progress bar right here. You see right here? The green is going until we finish the time over here. It's probably like 30 seconds or whatever the seconds. We'd like to put the same thing right over here into our game. If I click the new game, it will be back into the what I'm thinking right here is when I'm resetting the cards, guys, do I need to shuffle the cards? What do you guys think? Now handle cards shuffle. Now, how about I just no, reset card click it's a little bit different though. Yes, it's a little bit different. In here, we're increasing the turns, but in here, we are making sure that we go back to the original state. So I'm wondering, right? Let me just console.log, click 1 and click 2, right over here. Console.log. Click 1 and click 2. Initially, of course, they're null. I clicked. All right, they're returning back to null. Okay, and when I click this new game, it's basically the same thing. So what I was thinking is that if I could run reset card click function inside this handle card shuffle, which I don't have to run it because I'm already resetting the card click function every time they don't match or they do match. So that's good. Let's go back to the timer. So we do have, we would like to use the progress HTML, okay, the progress HTML progress tag. This is how it looks like right here. The maximum value is 100 in this case, right? But I would like to put the 30 over here, 30 seconds. And let's just the value, right? The current value is 10 seconds. Run it, right? If you just keep increasing it, run it, we'll just continue increasing it. This maximum value 30 is at 30 seconds, the maximum value. But we will put the set timeout inside our use effect, which will increase the time every 1 second, and we'll come down here, we'll increase this value every 1 second. Based on that value increasing, our progress bar will increase accordingly. All right. What I would like to put right over here, right below the new game. Okay. Let's just put a div with wrapper, and I will just put progress. Interesting. It did not pop up. It didn't recognize the progress. Cool. We do have progress bar opened up over here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, somehow I should have a state called a timer. Constant timer, set timer, use state. Initially, it will start from 0, like a counter, okay? Like a count. Constant timer, set timer, use state 0.
And we see that the value gonna be timer inside.
What is that?
That, yeah, the value.
The value, yes, exactly. So the value for the progress has to be a timer. So if I come down here, the timer right over here, there will be the value. Okay, initially it's a 0. There's nothing in there. Cool. The maximum is 30 seconds. Cool. So as we know that in our React applications, we can have
multiple use effects.
multiple use effects. All right, so right over here, I would like to write use effect again. And this use effect will run this anonymous function every time we have some dependency changes. In this case, the timer will change in here. All right, every time the timer changes, we need to make sure that our use effect will run. Now, I need to check, of course, right? I have to make sure that my set timeout will run every second up until the time that I put as a maximum. Of course, right now it's hard-coded. Let's just make sure that our game will stay up until 30 seconds in this condition right here, right? Because there's some hard one is probably like 2 minutes right here, or 1.5 minutes, because there's a lot of things to match. Right? That's additional functionality that you guys can definitely work on it to display multiple cards, right? There's, I don't know how many pictures are there, but based on that click of a button, you guys can definitely change the game: casual, medium, and hard. Okay, but for now we'll have only one setup right here, which is very easy setup. So I need to run my set timeout based on the time. If the timer is, what can I do? Is it less than 30? In that case, keep running my set timeout. In that case, keep running my set timeout. Okay, set timeout. So why we are running set timeout in here? Why not set interval? Who can tell me the difference between running set timeout?
Sorry, what was the question? What's the difference between set
Question,
timeout?
yeah, the question is why we're not using set interval over here instead of set timeout?
Uh,
We'll run just one.
timeout is better.
No, it's not about which one is better though. It's about the dependency, right? Since we know that every second, if I run the set timeout, every second my timer is changing, right? I am re-rendering my component and I'm updating my DOM, and I will come back to use effect. Since my timer changed, I will run this function set timeout again.
It
But
looks
if
like
this one was
recursion.
empty right here, right? Empty right here, I will run this use effect one time, and in this case, if I use set timeout, it will be run only one time in the beginning. That's it. But if I use set interval initially, the function inside the set interval will keep running every second. Right? You can put anything. But since we are putting something right here, and timer is changing every second, and that's why use effect will run every time the timer changes. So we'll just put set timeout over here. We don't need the set interval. All right? In this case, we don't need the set interval. So inside my set timeout, again,
It looks like recursion, and the timer less than 30 is like your base.
yeah, right. Set timeout. What do I need to do here over here? 1 second.
1000.
It's 1 second. So set timer, right? Previous timer plus 1. Okay.
Nice. Nice.
Cool. So as you guys can see, it is increasing every second, right? Until 30 seconds.
How to make more smoother
It definitely depends on some sort
the
of
UI?
keyframe. Yeah, the CSS part. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's jumping right now, but the transition or some sort of CSS styling, you guys can definitely change it. But for now, it is doing the thing for us. Right? That's we don't need the else part. We care about the timer. That's it. If you don't have this if, right? If you don't have this if else statement, your timer will keep running every second until you stop it. So, okay, so constant interval ID. Constant interval ID. So now, am I doing it right now? Who can tell me? Clear interval, a clear timeout, interval ID. Is this correct way? What am I doing wrong right now? We know that const and let are block scope. They support the block scope, right? Since this one is inside the block right here, if block, I created this const interval ID, and it lives inside this block scope only. This constant interval ID lives only inside this block scope. It doesn't come out over here. So we don't have interval ID. All right. So because of that, I have to take this one out, create with the let, right? Just keep it like that. And make sure that this set timeout, whatever that interval ID created out of the set timeout, will be assigned to this interval ID. And inside my return anonymous function, I have to clear the timeout to make sure that we avoid some memory leaks. Okay, so
Why do you want to clear your timeout? Since it's gonna stop anyway if it's less than or if it's more than 30.
that is right. Yes, it will stop. It will avoid just to be in the safe side, we can just clear our timeout. But yeah, just like you said, we can definitely don't need this guy right here because our timer will stop as soon as we hit this if part right here. But up until then, we'll just keep going on the timer 30, right? But just like you said, we can definitely avoid this return part.
Mhm.
It's okay to learn.
Because we don't need that, yes. Right? You can definitely avoid it. But just to be on the safe side, you can definitely, it's not gonna hurt, right? You can just definitely keep it over here. But since we have if else statement, we can avoid this part. All right, so it's doing the part right here, but somehow we need to make sure it's not clickable, right? As soon as our timer ends, we have to make sure that it's not clickable. So for that part right here, what I would like to add after my progress or inside my div right here, I want to add H1. It just says time is up. Oops. Okay, time is up. And if the time is up, I would like to make sure that the grid over here, none of these cards are clickable. None of these cards are clickable. But first of all, this time is up needs to show when my timer is equal to 30 seconds. Okay, when this that so for that, what I would like to do is I can just grab this guy, put this one over here. If the timer is equal to 30, I can show my time is up. If the timer is 30, I can show my time is up.
Azamat, what is the line 95, 96? 32% and the brackets.
Yeah, one
Nine.
second. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's
Oh,
filled up to 30. Here we go. Time is up. So somehow I copied and pasted from here, right? And we're not able to see this, the 32%. I'm not sure we are actually seeing it in the UI, right? Let's
delete
try
it.
delete this whole guy.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
it
work.
is there. Yes, it's
Oh.
still working. Not sure why they put it over there. 32%. Guess it's just included in there. Okay. So in my card grid, right, after 30 seconds, it is still clickable. I want to make sure that it's not clickable. What I can do here is add an additional custom class for this div to make it non-clickable. So for that, I would like to add a class called times up. And this one will have a pointer events none. Okay, pointer events none. If you put this pointer events none to any HTML tag, it will make sure that it's not clickable. Times up class will be applied the same way we are applying this this logic right here. Right? This logic right here. So for this guy right here, what I would like to do, put the curly braces and backtick. Put the curly braces and backtick. Okay. And right over here, I want to do if the timer is equal to 30, in that case, I want to add the times up. This 30 seconds is consuming our time. Maybe we should just decrease it, guys. Yeah, let's just make it 10 for now, right? Time maximum is at 10. What else do I have? 10, 30. Let's refresh the page. All right, let's just wait 10 seconds. 2, 3. Right now it's clickable. Okay. Okay. It is still clickable. After 10 seconds, time is up.
Azamat, can you go to single card? That part because of my computer I missed. That set timeout. The card just for 1 second. Okay.
Timeout.
A little bit scroll it up.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, here you give the okay. Interval is empty. You give condition. And then set time okay. Set timer. But this set timer is also the built-in function, right?
No, it's just I created a custom right here. It's like a set count. Yeah, count. Set count.
You're updating. Yeah, okay, okay.
Yes, I'm just updating the state value. That's it. Okay. So it was still clickable because we were just comparing this guy over here to 30. So if I refresh the page now, after 10 seconds, right now it's clickable. Everything is working fine. Okay. After 10 seconds, it will say that the time is up. Okay. Now it's not clickable anymore. None of these cards are clickable anymore because we put pointer events none. Right? Because of the fact that we have timer over here, none of these cards are clickable. Say new game. Okay, if I say new game, of course, in my new game, right over here, this guy right here, I have to do what? Set timer back to 0.
Yeah, you are from 10 you need to back to 0.
Can you finish in 10 seconds?
10 seconds is really tough. Again, 10 seconds is a very short time to finish this game. Probably like change to 30 seconds. You have to change this part right here first, and whatever comes the 10 will be change it to moving a little bit slower now. All right, time is up. I'm not able to click it.
Azamat, so timer in the beginning it was 0, and okay, each time it's updating, so it's increasing, right?
Yes.
And up to 30. So when it's the 30, then you are resetting to 0.
Yes. Yep. As soon as we if the timer, right, is less than 30, we'll just keep increasing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're not resetting it. We're not resetting the timer yet. We'll just keep increasing it until we hit the 30. And
Yeah,
it will be split up like this, right? And then based on the last timer will be 30. Based on that value 30, we'll come down here. If it's equal to 30, then show the time's up. If it is equal to 30, then make sure that you add this class to this card grid. If you add
just adding the class.
yes, if you add this class, it will just make sure that it will not be clickable anymore. None of these cards are clickable anymore because the time is
No,
up.
no. I mean, okay, this is now it is the full the color, but it should be when you update it will cell will update. Okay.
Yep. Each time, every second, we'll keep running this the logic, right? Each for 1 second, is the timer is equal to 30? No. Do I need to add times up? No. We'll just keep rolling it. After the next second, we'll just keep comparing it. If the timer is less than 30, yes, keep running the set timeout until we hit the timer 30, right? Until we hit the timer 30, then we will not be running this if part. We'll just stop increasing the timer. All right, and then we'll just display the times up, the text, and we'll just make sure that this card grid div will be non-clickable.
Okay.
That's the thing with this game too, right? The casual, after 30 seconds, it will make sure that it's not it actually it will just bring it back to this screen right here, and it will say
So
failed.
this game is so stressed because you don't have the time to watch the
I mean, the casual is fine. I mean, you can definitely do that. Okay.
it's too fast. I mean,
Oh, the heart, I saw it over here. Great.
this one is really cool because then it's disappear. This is really cool. If it did
I
also
saw this guy right here. I saw this guy right here. No. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. It's doable. Why not? It's definitely doable. Yeah, I think this is it for this project. You guys can definitely publish this to any type of hosting website and play the game all the time. But I will share the code with you guys. All right. So this is starter code, new changes, and that's it. Cool. This is our game.
It's supposed to be game over there.
I mean, yeah, you can change it like time is up or game over. Go home.
More classic.
I like go home.
Yeah. Stop playing, go home. Cool. Do you guys want to take a break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's take a break. Cool. We're done with that. I know that we didn't have much time to practice Immer. We'll try to learn Immer in deep today. From last class. Okay, we're gonna have and there's more to Immer. We have used Immer. It was basically a hook, but it was provided by use Immer package, right? Third party package. And we also have Immer. They basically the same. I believe that they're basically the same company, right? This one was created by the same company, assuming created by the same company because they can use the same name, Immer. I don't think you can copy paste some other names, and there was some legal violation on that using the same name. But yeah, use Immer has produced at the same time it has use Immer hook that we can use in React applications, functional components, right? And this Immer can be used anywhere, whether it's a DOM project, whether you have other Angular projects, React projects, you can use it anywhere in any type of JavaScript project. Cool thing about Immer is, as we said, import use Immer from use Immer. And this also provides use Immer reducer. Right? Use Immer was replacing use state, and use Immer reducer is replacing use reducer. Right? We'll try to implement both of them at the same time. Cool. Let's go. Let's try to implement both of them at the same time. So right over here, this one is for use reducer, but we'll try to do the use regular functional component. Okay. What we did last time was, I mean, we did in the class component. I just converted our class component into a functional component. Basically, just copy paste most of the stuff that we have in the class component and replace this dot with some, basically remove this dot in class components and bring it down to a functional component. Okay, so if I go back to my main JSX, this main JSX right now is grabbing the projects, to-dos function, and app, right? Projects right here, to-dos function, and app right here. This is my functional component. And this is what we see right now in the UI. And if I try to say local storage to-dos, I don't have anything, right? And because of the fact that I don't have anything right here, I'm grabbing just the manual setup from here. I mean, initially, we usually start with empty object like this. Okay, if I refresh the page, it's just empty object. But our to-dos will look like this object, and we have text to do 1 and completed the false. And these properties, these props or keys are the IDs for each to do. All right, let's just remove it for now. Just make it simple. All right, initial to-dos is coming from the storage. If we do have to-dos from storage, we'll use that in the initial to-dos. If we don't have anything, then we'll just use empty object. And that use state initial to-dos was applied over here. All right, and use state null. So let's try to use immer here instead of use state. Now, use immer will not be used for everything, right? For instance, for this edit ID, we're not going to use immer. We can just keep it as use state because there's only one. Excuse me. There's only one, and it's very simple state variable, right? Edit ID, the initial value is null. But if our state variables are complex, like array of objects or objects of objects, then it is recommended to use immer. Okay, so let's try to convert this. What I would like to do here is functional and use immer. Okay, use immer. I will just come back here, and instead of functional itself, can use immer, save it. And now it's coming from use immer over here, from this function. Console.log, use immer. Okay, use immer. You guys can see right here, coming from here. It's not coming from other ones. So this one will be use immer. Now we can modify this component. So instead of use state, I would like to use immer from use immer. All right, we got it from use immer. Now this one will also stay as it is. Input ref, use ref. Now in here, input ref, we have regular HTML tags. If it was a React component, we were using inner ref, but since it's regular input element, we are just using ref. By default, it's ref. But if it was a component, right, we were using inner ref. So input ref, which is fine. Now, since we are using use immer, what we need to do is basically modify our the state changes. Okay, with using use immer, every time we try to update our value, okay, there was two ways, right, to update our value. We can just create a cloning, or we could have just done previous state and do some logic over here, right? Basically return a mapping or etc. Okay, return something over here, return and previous state that map and do some logic over here. Now this callback function right here, right, anonymous function without the name, will be exact same thing, Okay, but in this case, we're not going to be returning any values out of this function, right? Well, what we can do here is, since we are use immer right here, by convention, this is called a draft. It's not a previous state, it's a draft of the current state. Okay, and as we know that immer allows us to make some changes on immutable state, right? As we know that immutable is not changeable state. But the clever thing about use immer package is that it will behave as if we are directly updating our state, but we're not updating directly, right? We're not updating our state directly. So the whole thing right over here, we can bring it right inside. So set to-dos, we're gonna have a draft. And if we are deleting over here, what we can do here, bring this delete over here, okay? And instead of new to-dos, we'll have draft. Draft to-do ID, and we'll just delete the to-do. Okay, and we'll just grab this update local storage, put it right next to it. Instead of new to-dos, it will just draft. And now we can just delete the whole thing right here. See, we just eliminated the multiple lines of code and converted to basically a single line of code, but yeah. Set to-dos and draft. We're just modifying the draft and updating the local storage with the draft. Same thing over here, right? Same thing over here. As you guys can see, set to-dos, I can just grab the whole thing over here, bring it right over here. And whatever the logic I'm doing over here, I need to do for the draft itself. Draft, okay? And I will just grab from here down here. Draft to-do ID is coming from here, and the text, and I'm applying this new text to that text. And I'm updating local storage with the draft. So I will just grab the whole thing, delete it, and keep it as it is like this. And this set edit ID will remain as use state. It's not use immer. Again, same logic. I'll just grab this whole thing, put it right over here, and whatever I'm doing inside here, okay, instead of new to-dos, I need to do draft to-do ID completed, complete status. And we can just delete the whole thing. Set edit ID can remain as it is. Handle add to do. All right, handle add to do. Same thing with the handle add to do. So with the handle add to do, I'll just grab this whole thing, put it right over here. Okay. In this case, I'm not going to have that one, but I will have local storage. I will delete it. New to-dos. I can have the new to-dos. I have to grab this guy and put it right inside. In this case, it's not going to be new to-dos. It's going to be draft. The new ID is fine. Now I don't need this guy over here. All right. Update local storage draft is inside set to-dos, which is fine. Cool. So now we can test it out if it works or not. To-do one, add to-do. All right, new to-dos is not defined in handle add to-do. Let's go back.
That one. I guess you forget to delete 50 to 53. New to do.
52, 53. Oh,
You
I
don't-
see. Yeah, we don't need that. Yep. You're right. We forgot to delete it. Yep. That is correct. You know what? I'll just copy this guy and put it right over here. All right, refresh the page. To-do one. Yep. To-do two. Yep, good to go. Video 3. Yep, everything is working fine. Video 1, save it. Yep. Refresh the page. Yep. Our local storage also working fine. Everything is coming from the local storage. And if I try to delete it, yep, cool. This is how we apply use immer in our React applications. Any questions related to use immer in this case? All right, let's try to see with the reducer. Use reducer. Immer. So now come back to my main JSX. And for this to-dos, use, what do I have here? Projects / use reducer immer / app. All right, cool. Use reducer immer app.jsx. Use my custom hook. Use reducer. What is it complaining? Okay, so use reducer is complaining about, I believe this guy right here. Yeah, we'll come to that point. Okay, so let's try to see what we have instead of in terms of use reducer. So when we use reducer, we actually created the custom hook. That custom hook was coming from custom.js, right? Right over here, all the way at the bottom, we set that export constant custom hook, use custom hook, use reducer, and we have reducer function, and we have initial state. And this one was returning a state, the next state, and we have dispatch function that we can dispatch the actions that can take in our UI. Yeah, everything is looking fine. I just needed to refresh the page. That's it. All right. So whatever we had for the functional component, we just converted to our use reducer. And in this case, we were dispatching some actions, right? The type is add new to do, and the payload is value. Let's see if it works. T1 and T2 add to do, and the custom, is it updating my local storage? Update local storage, update local storage. Yep, the local storage is being updated. If I refresh the page, yep, all of the local storage is updated. Now it's definitely working fine. But whatever we are doing over here is we are doing without the immer. Okay, we are doing without the immer. If I would like to use immer inside my custom.js file, what I need to do here is I need to import produce from immer itself. Right, produce is coming from immer. And now, in order to update my next state, right? So in here we are returning a new state. Let me just clear out my option 2. And from produce, we know that we have to provide the base state, okay, as a first argument, and then we can just based on this anonymous function, can modify this base state. Okay, so it's going to be the same thing. So in
Azamat, before you start,
yeah,
this produce and use immer hook is the same, right? The logic, I mean, like the purpose. You just want to show us a different type of immer?
no, this
Before we
different.
use immer, for the not reduce, but the usual to do. Now you want to use produce.
Because Imer has the value and he's distracting from the reduce.
No, I think Maqsad is asking about for this guy right here, right? Functionally use immer. In here, we use immer.
Yeah.
This use immer hook was coming from use immer package.
Mhm.
Yes.
This is specifically, right? This is specifically to replace this use state. And now we are able to directly modify our state inside our set, whatever state we're trying to update. But in here, if you would like to use produce the same way we are trying to use over here, you can do the same thing. Okay? You can do the same thing. Produce from here. But in this case, we have to use produce right inside over here.
Okay. But since we don't have that state in our use reducer, we're gonna use produce.
Exactly. Yes.
That's the point.
Yep. Yep. So in here, if you don't want to use immer, if it was just regular use state, now you have to wrap this whole thing, right? You have to wrap this whole thing. Let me see where it's ending it. Okay. You have to
I
wrap
guess
this
we can
whole
continue with
Yep.
our project and you will do it over there, yes.
reduce like this. Now, with the use immer, we're just eliminating this part right here, usage of this draft. Right? We're just directly using this callback function, and under the hood, with the help of the use immer, our React application will understand that we are working on the draft and we're updating the draft. But yeah, let's just continue on this part right here. Now we are using produce. Okay, when we use produce, what was that?
It's
Say that
like
again.
the produce, then we need to write state, use state.
Yes, exact same thing as we going to do over here. So produce, right? Since we need to return new state. Now we know that produce will return a new state. Right? The produce function is we are assigning the next state. You see right here? We are running this produce function. Now this produce function will return the next state and it will assign it to a variable. It will be assigned to a variable. And we will just return a next state as a value from our switch statement. Okay, switch statement. We need to return something from the switch statement. Now, instead of doing some logic over here and returning a new state, what we can do here, right? What we can do here, we can just produce, right? The produce. This is the function that will accept the state. Okay, this base state is what we have the state over here, a previous state basically. And now it will take anonymous function. In here, we have a draft, right? So this draft was created out of the state. And we can manipulate this state, this draft basically, okay? Manipulate, and then as a result, this produce function will return the next state, basically a new state. And it will be provided to our React application, and React will understand that, oh, because the state is changed, now I have to re-render the whole application. So what we can do inside this produce, whatever we did over here, right, creating the new state and creating new IDs and new state to this blah, 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 we can do the same thing inside here, draft. I will just copy the whole thing right here, and I will say draft dot to-dos, right, because our draft, our state was containing a lot of stuff. Our initial state contains to-dos, edit ID, count 0, products. We're not using this count 0 products. We're only using these guys. But again, initial state is an object that contains a lot of property values. And one of them is to-dos. Right? Initial state for the to-dos is we're grabbing it from the storage. If we do have to-dos, then we'll grab it from the storage. If you don't have it, then it's going to be just empty object. And we are putting this initial state to initial state over here. All right. So coming back to our produce will return the next state as it states over here. It will return the next state. And we're just returning that next state to our React application. All right. which means that we are adding a new object. So new ID, I can definitely copy this guy, or we can just, yeah, let's just put it right over here. Constant new ID, UUID will be applied over here. And right after we updating this draft, we can update our local storage right over here. It's going to be draft.todos, right? Draft.todos. So now I can just eliminate this whole thing right here. All right. So return, produce, state draft, draft.todos new ID, text action that payload completed false, etc. All right. So same thing for this return right here. If it is edit to do, whatever we are returning right here, we're actually returning the next state, right? We know that we are returning the next state. So we're going to return it with the produce. The produce, as we said, that it will return the next state, the new state or the next state, whatever you would like to call it. But of course, we have to provide the state first. And the draft is what we are modifying on our state. Okay, so draft, what we are changing over here, edit ID. So draft.edit ID is going to be action.payload. All right, we don't have to return anything out of this the second argument callback function for our produce function, because produce will automatically continue.
Azamat,
Yes.
do we need a new state for the edit to do? I thought that for the edit to do, we just want to change that edit ID, but we don't want to have any new state, or we want it.
No, produce is already returning the new state.
Yes,
it
but
contains
before,
everything inside. Yeah, it contains everything inside.
I understand it, but before, when we did that edit to the case, we didn't return any new state. That before was just only changing the edit ID in the not for the new state, but for the state itself.
Before we mean which
Before me,
one?
I mean here in register, just like 20 seconds ago. If you like Control Z, undo.
Oh, I see. Okay, I can go back. Yeah.
Yeah, you see?
Yeah, right over here. Yeah.
Before we are just returning the state in edit ID, but we are not creating any new state.
This is new state right here.
Whereas you are not creating any new state like JSON parse, JSON do.
Oh, right here? I don't
No.
need to. I don't need to.
Yes, that's why like you don't need one. So now
Yeah,
then
I don't need to create because I'm not modifying the to-dos over here. I'm only modifying in the shallow copy, right? In the shallow
Yep.
copy, I'm modifying this one right here. If I
yes,
have to modify this right here, the to-dos, right? Adding new to-do or changing the text or deleting the to-do, I have to create a new to-dos array of objects or object.
to make it a deep copy. I got you.
The zip
But-
copy, yes, exactly.
Yes. For the edit ID, you don't need that one.
For the edit ID, no, we don't need that
Yes.
because we're not touching
Then
the beginning part.
why I try to create now new state with the produce? If you
Because
don't need that one.
we're trying to update it like this instead of this part right here.
Okay.
Look, why are trying to create a new state? We are already creating a new state, this one right here. Whatever we are returning out of this, I mean, basically we're doing like this. Constant new state is equal to this one right here, okay? Just cut it out, put it right here, and I'm returning this new state like this. I'm returning
This
this
one
like
I got you, yes.
Yes. Instead of creating a new state like this, produce is already returning a new state, next state. But for the produce, we are accepting state and
I don't have a question about the produce. I understand it everything. That question is like the before when we did the edit to do. We didn't create new state like you are doing now, right? We haven't. We just changed that edit ID. We
Yeah,
didn't
so
create,
this is the new
yes.
state right here. That's what
Now,
we are.
yes, now you created new state, but before there was no any new state. It was just
Oh,
return.
it doesn't matter. There's no difference though. Like there's no difference. This is new state. We're just returning a new object here.
if you are returning something, that means like you are
That's
creating
the
new
next state, yes. This one, whatever I'm returning right here, that's the new state. This object is the next state. This object is the next state. If I'm returning like a new state as a string, this is the next state.
So when you are,
if I'm
so you want to
returning
say
array,
when you are returning something, you're actually creating the copy of your original data?
yeah, if I'm returning something right here, if I'm returning new object, okay, I have to copy the remaining state variables that I'm not touching, right? The remaining state variables that I'm not touching. I'm not touching this one. I'm not touching this one. The only thing I'm changing is this edit ID. That's what I'm doing over here. I need to grab the remaining values, and what am I changing? Edit ID is equal to action.payload. And whatever I'm returning this new object is going to be next state. The same thing.
Because the
Instead
last
of
one
returning
is
this new
already.
object, I just put it right here, right? That's the exact same thing. And I'm just returning new state.
Okay, then okay, I didn't know about it. If you return something, you're creating new state. Okay, then in that case, if you return something and it's always making the copy of your initial data, then why you are like trying to do the JSON parse, JSON strictify? You can just return it, right? The initial data, and it's gonna be like the totally different data than initial data.
So right over here, what do you want to do right here? I have new state right here.
Not exactly here, just in general. I just want to understand the concept general. For example, so the idea is to make it the copy and do not touch the initial data, right? Do not mutate the initial meta. So
Yes.
that's our like the idea. So if we return something always, so it's making the copy of our initial data. It's not mutating the
Deep
initial
cloning.
data.
Deep cloning. Yes.
It's deep cloning if you return anything.
Yes.
So actually what you can do, we can everywhere return like we can everywhere return in our functions and it's gonna be the deep data. Sorry, deep copy.
Yes, it has to be.
Just-
Whatever we are returning out of this each case, it has to be deep copy. But in this case, we don't need the deep copy because we're not updating the array of objects or objects with objects.
Yeah, I got you.
Related object. The only thing I'm updating is edit ID. That's it.
Mhm.
But the remaining to the delete to do, we are updating the state like a new state that to do's. We're making some changes. If you do like a state that to do's changes, then it's gonna be like directly updating it, which we need to avoid it. All right. So in this case right here, edit to do, we're only updating edit ID. So we are still returning a new state, the next state over here. I know that this one is not a deep copy. This one is not a deep copy. But we don't have anything to do with the to-dos over here. We're not updating anything for this case. For this case, we are only updating the edit ID.
It's
And
a shallow copy, right?
This is still shallow copy, yes.
Okay.
If somehow you need to change, right? If somehow you need to change this new state that the to-dos that with the ID, like let's say 1 and something like that, okay, like a text, then it's going to be directly updating the to-dos. We are directly updating it because we're just copying the shallow, doing a shallow copy. But we're not, since we are not doing this one right here, this is okay just to copy, do the shallow copy with the spread operator. And we're just updating this edit ID. Edit ID is just the keeps primitive data, right? It's just a number, ID of that to do. All right.
Okay.
So new state is the exact same thing as this guy right here, but instead of using this new state, I mean, you don't have to use produce for this one because we're just updating the edit ID. But for the sake of this understanding this produce, we can return this produce, right? Now this one will be deep copy, right? Instead of doing this one, it's not deep copy because the state contains to-dos and it will be referencing to the same data in the memory. But here we are returning the next state. It's a deep copied state. Right? Draft that ID is going to be is equal to action.payload. And we don't need these guys over here.
Azamat, let's say the edit ID has the value false, for example. in the initial, you know? And
Yes.
then you are deep copying it. And now, of course, that you are not touching the other states. I mean, the initial values inside the title, ID maybe, but you're just gonna do something within ID, change in edit ID. Let's say that initial it is false. Let's say you are gonna change to true, right? So then it means that state is updated to true, with deep copying. Of course, you are in the original one, of course, it's the false, but you're deep copying it and you're just changing the edit ID from false to true, for example.
Huh?
And again, let's say you need in the future, you have to also use this to change it. And then you still, each time you are just changing in the edit ID with deep copy, it will just overwrite the, and it returns the new state, right?
Yes, it will return new state. Yes, it will just
Okay.
override it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever we are returning out of this produce or out of this new state right here, new state, it will override this state right here. Now, this state initially is the initial state. Now, in the first change, right, somehow we run some switch and change it. Now, this state becomes the previous state. And whatever we are returning is the next state. And
Yeah.
whatever we are returning out of this, any type of case, will become a next state or new state. We should have called next state, but yeah. Right? So that's how we keep our state variables immutable.
Yeah.
Never update our state variables directly. But with the help of this immer npm package, we are able to update our state. I mean, it will kind of like updating directly, but this produce is doing the whole logic. Right? This produce is doing the whole logic for
Azamat.
us. Yeah.
So draft is the deep copy of initial state, right?
Yes, right here. The current is our state right here. The current is the state in when we pass down to the register. Now inside our produce, this draft is your edits here. This is where we are editing making our changes over here. Draft to-dos, new ID, and we're adding new to-dos to the to-dos. This is what we are changing, making our changes inside this draft. This is still immer, right? Immer. Now, out of this produce function will return the next state. It is completely different, the current state, right? It's basically a deep copied and modified version of this current state. So the basic idea is that with immer, you will apply all your changes to a temporary draft, which is a proxy of the current state. And once all your mutations are completed, immer will produce the next state, right? Immer will produce, basically this produce function will produce the next state based on the mutations to the draft state. This means that you can interact with your data by simply modifying it while keeping all the benefits of immutable data. Using immer is like having a personal assistant. The assistant takes the latter, the current state, and gives you a copy draft to jot changes onto. Once you are done, the assistant will take your draft and produce the real immutable final letter for you, the next state. That's the whole logic behind this immer. We have produce provided by immer package, and we provide the base state, which is our current state, and we have anonymous function. This anonymous function is basically doing all the edits inside it. All right. Now, what am I going to do with this delete to do? Same thing. Copy this one right here. Return produce, we're providing state, draft. Now for the draft, I will just copy this guy right here and put it right over here. Okay. Now instead of new state, I have to do draft. Delete draft.todos, action.payload is what we are providing the ID. Of course, I will bring it update local storage with the draft.todos. And I can just delete the whole thing over here.
So it will also less code, right?
Yeah, of course. It's gonna be very less code. Now, in the next step, once I finish this whole thing, we'll eliminate this produce. Now, there is another cool way to take a look, right? So produce, state draft, delete draft that to-dos, action that payload. Yeah, complete to-do. Same thing. Instead of returning a new state, we're going to return our new state with the produce function. And I'll just copy this guy, put it right over here. Instead of new state, I need to write draft. Draft that to-dos, and I don't need this delete. Okay, draft that to-dos, action that payload that ID, completed, action that payload that checked. Yes, we're good to go. So we don't need these guys. Return, produce, state. Okay, so this guy's right here. I'll just copy and paste it right over here. I don't need that one. And it's going to be draft that edit ID null and draft that to-dos, action payload ID text, action payload that text. Cool. Draft that to-dos, eliminate this whole thing. Cool. What's going to happen with this return right here?
You are creating shallow copy.
Yes. So it's going to be exact same thing as we did with edit right here, right? Edit to do.
Mhm.
In this case, instead of returning, okay, produce. So shallow copy to do's. So what I need to do here, draft that to do's, empty object, right? And I'll just copy paste this guy right over here. Update local storage with empty object.
Actually, this produce or user email is more easier to, because you can see that it is state, is initial state, and draft is just copy.
Yes,
More
the
easier
copy
to-
of the state, and we're just modifying it directly.
Yeah.
And the Immer will make sure that this produce provided by Immer will make sure that it will return a new next state. And as soon as it returns the next state, we're just returning that next state to our React application. All right, so what's going on over here? We have new state, new array, update local storage, same thing. I'll just copy this guy right here. All right, reduce state. Now it has to be draft that to-dos. And instead of this guy right here, I don't need this guy. I still need to have this new array. I'll just copy paste this whole thing inside my over here. So now, instead of new state, I need to do draft that to-dos ID. Return produce state draft, constant new array, object that entries new state to-dos. No, draft that to-dos. Okay, as we know that object that entries will return array of arrays, and individual item array will contain ID and the value of that object, right? And we're just putting for let ID value of new array, value that completed, delete draft that to-dos that ID, and we're updating the local storage. Cool. Let's test it out if this one works as we expected it. Let's make sure that, oh, console, why is that working? Console.log, reduce. All right, refresh. It's coming from it's coming. We are definitely using to-do use reducer with Immer. Main JSX is referring to to-do use reducer Immer. Okay, this Immer is using that custom, use my custom hook from this guy, and this guy is using produce, the thing that we did already over here. So if I change this one to save it, yep, it's updating, it's deleting, it's working fine. And if I add new to do, it is definitely adding. Right? Our local storage is also updating.
Azamat, like I have one question. So
Mm.
now here, when we do the to do, we have just a small data, right? And
Yes.
when we do like fetch and when we have a data and inside data, sometimes we are deleting, we are adding the new property.
Mhm.
So kind of we are manipulating the state, right?
Yes.
But and with this, like let's say when I did this Amazon like internet project, I always updated not like direct, but with arrow function, which is not direct, but still I'm mutating the state. And so in that case, state is our data, right? So like we have properties, IDs, title, and we do some manipulation, or it's just, yeah.
I
And
think it's easier to use immer, I mean to implement immer in our React applications to avoid mutating our state variables directly.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of using this immer.
So
Right.
when we fetch the data and inside the data, like let's say if you're gonna change some property, like let's say if you're gonna do some changes in the future, and then we should just use this email, not to mutate the initial one, but
Right. That's the whole point. Yes. Do not mutate the initial state that you created as a state.
But in the real work, in the real projects, like how often did they use this? Because Asel said, do you remember Maksat? When I asked, she said, we don't have that kind of like a lot, not updating the state direct and all, we just deep copying, she said. As long as we are using the arrow function, update, it doesn't mean that we are updating the direct.
Yeah, if it is like it depends on how much layers of your data has.
Mm.
If it is nested objects inside an array of objects, then it definitely need to find some sort of a deep cloning package, right? So for we can definitely use, if you don't want to use produce or use immer, there are a lot of packages that help us do deep cloning. Okay, for instance, we have Lodash, and we also have let me see, clone, structured clone. It's built-in JavaScript, right? That's structured clone method. The structured clone method of the window interface creates a deep clone of a given value using the structured clone algorithm. And you provide the value, it will return a deep copy, right? The original is name MDN, original itself is original, and clone it is structured clone original. All right, this is provided by the window object. It has already there for us to use. But again, or JSON.stringify, JSON.parse can be definitely used to create a deep copy, but don't use JSON parse, JSON.stringify for everything, as we explained earlier, right? Because some of the values may not be available in the deep cloned value. So try to use some sort of packages, or this immer package is there for us to be used in our applications. It's not like mandatory, it's not required. It is there for us to utilize it, right? If your company doesn't want to use Immer, then stick with other solutions, like creating a deep copy using third-party packages like Lodash or built-in functions provided by JavaScript itself. But again, if no one knows in your company and you try to try to make your point, like initiate some sort of action to your team lead, I do have a plan, or I do have an idea. What if you use this Immer package? It's a very cool package. There's a lot of reviews. People say that it's a cool package to make some deep copies or update our state variables, etc. You can provide some ideas to your team members, right? But again, if Asela says that, I mean, we don't use this, we never had it. Well, I don't know what she said, but yeah, it doesn't mean that it's a set of rules, right? But these packages are for us there to use in our applications. It's not mandatory, it's not required, but they're there to be used. Just keep in mind, if you join the company in this space, I'm really optimistic for you guys. You guys keep the pace, keep learning, keep doing your projects. You guys will definitely find a job. I know it's competitive, but just keep your pace as of right now. Okay. If you join a company and if they're using React applications and somehow you don't see any type of use of Immer, then just go with what they're using it. All right, Immer package is there for us to use, and use Immer is also there for us to use. 716. What I would like to show you guys is current producers. As it says that passing a function as the first argument to produce creates a function that doesn't apply produce yet to a specific state, but rather it creates a function that will apply produce to any state that is passed to it in the future. This generally is called occurring. Take, for example, the following example. Now, we have a function. This function is exact same thing as reducer. Okay? Do you guys agree? It says function toggle to do. If I can just copy paste right over here. Basically, constant toggle, and we have arrow function, right? Toggle to do, just like reducer. We have state ID, and we are returning produce. As we have returned produce from each of our cases right here. We have return produce for each of our cases. Okay, for each of our cases, we are just returning produce. And base state, and it says constant next state, toggle to do. We are providing the base state, and we're providing the ID Immer text as an ID. And based on that state, produce is taking the current state, and working on the draft, and it's returning the next state. Basically, we are returning.
Really cool.
Right? We're returning something from this function, and we're returning something from this produce function.
So it is kind of like this Immer is throwing the ID state as an argument, as a parameter. And yeah, okay, state is, wow, this one is really cool.
Yeah. So
because I was struggling with the split operator, the changing the edit, and it was
edit ID right here. Yeah, edit to do.
yeah, like with split operator, and it was very difficult. Oh my god.
Annoying.
Yes, like split operator.
So
Just kidding.
this one is very similar to what we have over here. So constant handle run. So basically what we are doing here, right? Get sum is a function, right? We have parameters a and b, and we are returning another function. Let's just say handle run. Okay, handle run is accepting a and b, and as a result, this handle run right here, it's just x y is basically a and b, and it is returning. Okay, it is returning a plus b.
X, Y
sorry.
plus Y.
It's x plus y. All right. So this get sum is getting AB. Cool. And now we're returning
4.
so what I can do here, yeah. And if I run this get sum right here, what is get sum returning?
4.
So get sum is returning a function, right? So if I run,
Oh.
what's the value on this one right here?
4. Am I wrong?
It is 4.
You
Yes.
know, yeah, because you are returning now. Yeah, okay, this the get sum, yes, R2, and but still R2. It means that you are getting the inside the X and Y.
Mm-hmm. But what happens if I do this one right here? So I'm accepting 1, right? I will be providing handle run. Okay, so it's gonna be A. Let me do this one first. Okay, so it's gonna be B, and as a return value, returning A plus B. All right. So now, what's gonna be my get sum now?
1 second. 1 second. I'm not sure what's A. So turn if you're returning B.
Handler. So you are returning the error function?
So when I run this, yeah, when I invoke this function right over here, when I'm invoking it, as a
Yeah.
return value, I'm returning a function. Okay, I'm returning a function.
B is not defined.
I know. See, get sum is returning a function, and it is returning this guy right here. So as a return value, I have to somehow invoke this result. Okay, I have to somehow invoke this result and provide the B value. In this case, let's just say 2
3.
again. All right, just put 3. All right. So now get sum is returning this function, and I'm assigning to this result. Now result is a function now. Now if I provide 3, I will be providing this B. All right. So as a return value, this result is still keeping the value of A. Get sum is done because it returned this function already. Get sum is done, but it will still keep this value of A. So now if I run this result function with the value 3, which is the B, now A was 2 from here, A plus B is going to be 5. You see right here? 5. This is basically what produce is doing over here. So in here, produce is basically, let's go back to our thing. Produce is grabbing like this, okay? And it's returning a new state. And this new state, okay, new state will be applied as a next state. Current producers, that's what it says right here. Toggle to do base state in immer. Now, instead of returning this produce, these guys say that, the above pattern of toggle to do is quite typical. It has an existing state to produce, yes, modify the draft, and then return the result. Yes, we know that. Since state isn't used for anything else than passing it on the produce, that's what it says, right? We are passing the state, but somehow we're not using state over here. But immer understands that this state will be converted to the draft, and we're doing some modification on the draft. And as a result, a returning value out of this function, we will return the next state. Okay, but as a second option right here, the above example can be simplified. We can simplify this example instead of returning this produce. Okay, simplified by using the current form of produce, where you pass produce only the recipe function, and produce will return a new function that will apply recipe to the base state. This allows us to shorten the above toggle to do definition like this. Now, the toggle to do, the toggle to do was accepting state, and as a return value, we're returning a produce. Okay, this to simplify this version
Yeah,
of
because we already know that draft is state, so then we can ignore the state, right?
yes, what it says is that to simplify is instead of this guys right here, it says put produce right inside over here. Okay, so remove this guy, and it says produce directly. We'll use the produce and put the draft instead of state. This is going to be the draft. It's the same thing, state ID, but we're returning produce over here. But instead of returning the produce, it says wrap the whole function to toggle to do with the produce, and this state will be the draft, and we're just providing the ID as a second argument. And now we can do some modifications on the draft.
What we did before? Can you show us like the previous one?
Yeah, right here.
No, like in our example.
Oh, in our examples, yeah, we were returning a produce function right here.
Oh, we did same actually.
Yeah, we did with the first option right here. We did return the produce function right here. But to simplify, right? To simplify, we can assign this to toggle to do to the output or the return value of this produce. That's what it says.
Can you show us that toggle to do in our case? Where is toggle to do in our case? Now, I know the naming is different, but where was it?
Yeah,
The
toggle to one, toggle to the two.
the parent of the our how to explain it, yo? Oh my God. That return produce we have now inside of our like each cases. Can you show us that how we wrapped everything? How are you gonna change it now? That in our case.
Oh, yes, very good question. Very good question. In our case, right? All right, so in our case, what we can do, right? It is exact same thing as reducer right here. Let me just bring it back, okay?
I got
So
you.
in our case, the reducer is our toggle to the one, right? And whatever we are returning, we were returning the produce. So now in this case right here, we are wrapping the whole reducer with the produce. We are wrapping the whole reducer now. What I can do here, I can just cut this guy right here and produce and put the whole thing inside produce. All right, let me just simplify it. So now, oh my goodness, put it back. So now my reducer, right, is produce right here.
So we can say you are gonna create new reducer, next reducer.
No,
It looks like this.
So the thing about when we wrap the whole thing, right? When we wrap the whole thing with the produce, our reducer, actually instead of that's actually a current producers, right? It's called current producers. What it says is that instead of wrapping, I mean, we're gonna wrap it with produce, but it is wrapping right over here as new variable, like constant current reducer is equal to produce and put the reducer over here. Okay, it's actually the same thing. We can just cut this one and put it inside, but we can create the new current reducer and wrap regular this producer into the produce and use this producer right over here.
I got you.
Current reducer, okay? Current reducer. So that's the whole thing. for each cases, we were returning a produce, but to simplify, this immer has another option. To simplify, we can wrap the whole reducer with the produce, as we did over here. We are wrapping the whole reducer function with the produce, okay? So in this case, since we are wrapping it, now we don't have to use any of the producers over here. Oh, why did it go? Yeah, on any of these produce, we don't have to use this produce anymore because we are already wrapping our reducer with the produce outside. Okay, so
Yeah.
now, yeah,
Azamat wants, okay, now he has messed up. Okay. Since that you already wrapped the produce inside the reducer, it means that what is this inside the reducer is already, we don't need to copy again, right?
Yes, you are right,
So
I
it
guess.
is already done for everything. So
yes, we are wrapping produce. We are wrapping reducer with the
Yeah.
produce from immer, right? So now inside my right over here it says since we are wrapping it right here, this guy becomes a draft. Now this guy right here, state, becomes a draft.
Mhm.
All right, this becomes a draft, and we don't need the state because we don't have a state anymore. We have
yes.
draft, right? So now the whole thing right over here, okay, we'll cut it and we'll just put it right here like this. Now produce is gone. We have draft, action.
Yes.
Okay, so now as a return value, we can just empty return, or we can just break it from our cases. Okay, we can just do break or return, and somehow this produce is not the returning, but a reducer needs to return something, right? Or we need to break it out of the loop. So otherwise, it's not working. Okay, so we can put the return. So right here, it's going to be very simple. Just put it like this, okay, and break it. That's it. The same thing for this guy right here. Just put it up and just put break. All right, so just put it up and put break. Same thing with this guy right here. Put it up, put break.
So, what are you deleting? You are doing
What?
so fast. I just lost that. What are you exactly you are deleting? Which part?
We're just removing
You
this
are
return
you are
produce.
taking off from return.
Yeah,
The
return
everything
produce. We're just removing.
okay.
Yep, we're just removing everything in terms of return produce. We don't have any produce inside our reducer. What we have is produce right over here because we're wrapping our reducer function with the produce, and we're providing this current reducer to our use reducer, current reducer. Okay, so now it's refresh the page. We don't have anything in our local storage, and T1, yep, E2, good to go. Edit 100. Save it. It's working fine. Everything is working fine. Clear all completed to-dos. Yep, good to go. Now with this produce, everything is working fine. Right?
Personally, for me, I like use reducer more. Oh no, use inner. Use immer.
Use
The
immer.
yes, the question is, can I use the use immer here inside of custom.js or not? Since we don't have
No, use immer has to be it's a hook for React components, right? We have to use
inside of the component.
yes, that
Mm,
component. I mean, you can definitely use immer over here inside your custom hook.
how it's gonna be? Just add. You wanna add some use immer here?
Well, yeah, constant, right? Constant to-dos, set to-dos is equal to use immer from use immer as an initial value. You can put
Initial.
initial state dot to-dos.
Um,
So now you have to return to-dos and set to-dos with the set dispatch. And now you can whenever you are using set to-dos in any of the components, right? What you have to do is set to-dos inside the function. You will have a draft, okay? Now you can play around with the draft.
Okay.
Azamat,
Yes.
like for example, if we imagine we have like the big project which already made by a lot of use state.
Mhm.
So and you need to make like a deep copy. You cannot go up and change the use state with the use immer initial state, right? So you have to use the like the just the immer with the what was the name? Produce?
Yes.
Yeah, produce. That's what I'm like. uh,
That's what we did initially. Remember, this functional to-dos initially, everything was done using use state. We have to-dos.
Yeah, I got it. Like that's what I'm saying. But because, for example, you have a team, it's like a lot of people. You cannot just go and like change the whole state with the use email, right?
Yeah, you have to verify with the team. Yes, you
Yeah.
need to how to say that?
Or you
Present.
can just, or you can just add the producer to make like a deep copy instead of change the whole state with the use email, right?
Yes, as a solution, you can present your solution as an initiative. You can see, you can during the meeting, and you can say, hey guys, I have an initiative. I would like to offer a solution for this type of state. We know that we've been using use state for all of our state variables. I would like to convert our use state using our use immer or produce. All right. And you can just present like a slide and just provide some advantages or disadvantages to the team. I mean, they can say yes, they can say no. It's up to them.
Yeah, it's about it's about like instead of changing the code, you just adding it if you use the producer.
Exactly, yes. Instead of, yep, this produce is already returning the next state, and that's the beauty of it, right? When it's returned, basically we're just updating the state like this. So it's all fine. We created the current reducer, okay? One more thing is left. We'll just eliminate the whole thing right here, right? We'll bring our reducer back, and everything will remain as it is, all right? Draft to-dos, we'll draft an action, blah, blah, blah. Instead of wrapping our reducer to the produce, what we can use here, use immer reducer. That's it.
Boom.
Boom. Use immer reducer. We don't have to wrap our reducer with the produce. We don't have to do anything. Use immer reducer is already wrapping the whole thing, and it's working on the draft, right? If I refresh the page, same thing will work as.
Wait, you actually started like from the beginning. I mean, before we used to use immer like a hook. Now
Yes.
you use immer reducer and it looks like same, no?
No, use reducer is actually the use reducer.
No, since you are using draft and action.
Yeah, but we are not creating the deep cloning over here, like a new constant, new state, a JSON parse, JSON string
No, I
file.
mean like the same. We didn't make it a clone it and use immer. We didn't clone it in use immer.
But in the use immer, right? In the use immer over here, to the function use immer, what we are doing here is we're still using this the callback function. Yeah. You can again, this use immer is a hook that we can only use inside the component or custom hook.
The structure and syntax is same.
It is exactly the same. Yes.
Oh, this is what I want to say. Yes.
Yep. It is exact same thing, but of course, use reducer, we can extract the whole logic into its own custom file, right? Use reducer.
Personally, what do you prefer? Use
Use
like a
reducer
hook?
all the time. Yep. Use immer reducer will be my choice of solution.
Why?
What if in case we don't have reducer, just hook?
Oh, just hook, then use immer. Yeah, just this guy right here.
Mm.
This guy right here. Yep, use immer.
Since we never used use reducer except your project.
Yeah, if there's no use reducer, then only use state, then I prefer use immer
Mhm.
or produce. I mean, produce is we need to use the produce function, but of course, use immer is already removing the produce function. We're just using this anonymous function to make some changes into our next state. All right, so yeah, the whole thing is completed using use immer reducer. It's already wrapping reducer, and it's already accepting our current state or next state as a draft. Sorry, current state or previous state as a draft, and that's how we make changes to our draft state. All right, any questions, guys? Any questions? All right, what time is it? It's 7:40. That's all what I have for today. I will try to give you guys let me see. It's not the repository. All right. Actually, where's my thing? React. Flipcards, React projects. No, these are React, okay, React demo projects.
We finished the course end of the December.
At the end of the December month 5, we have month 6. Yeah, there might be some makeup, right? If somehow we missed a class or there was some sort of a holiday, we will definitely have some a couple of weeks makeup classes. And then there will be a graduation. But of course, did you guys start the intern? Oh, you have not started the internship. Oh, it's next week. You guys will start the internship with Marat or Said. Not sure Said. Not sure if Said is still around, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Azamat,
Mm.
are we gonna just like in this cohort, we're gonna learn at least how to use maybe the AWS or MongoDB for database? No?
No, it's not included in the curriculum though.
I'm just seeing there's a lot of requirement at least to know like maybe one cloud or one database, like so.
Yes. Yeah, AWS.
Mhm.
Or just go to take and look at on YouTube, you know.
Right. That's probably your only option there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube.
Make it simple.
I
Make it
mean,
simple, you
if
know?
it could be like simple, I could like learn the whole front end from the YouTube, but it's not like correct, right?
Correct.
So I try, believe me, guys, before this cohort, I tried to learn by myself by YouTube. It's not like that easy how you think.
No, it's not. I mean,
It's supposed to be someone who'd like show you like how to use or by simple way. Like,
Isn't
we
it
all
not
agree
much
that,
short
yeah,
on YouTube?
yeah, we all agree that the resources are out there, right? On YouTube or freecodecamp.com, etc. But of course, you have to find a time and make some effort to learn stuff. If you are good at it, then good for you. But I'm not such a person, right? I start myself for 1 week, and after 1 week, something comes up, and I will be lazy or just drop the whole thing, right? I'm not type of a self-learner. Someone needs to teach me.
yeah, the same, exactly the same.
Um,
It's about discipline, I guess.
It's about discipline, yes.
When somebody is teaching you, you are more like focused, consistent, rather than
See, dedication.
yes, rather than
I'm looking forward to finish this class because
Well, I'm
I think
asking
you
because
failed
at
it.
least we like did couple projects as a mod. We
Uh-huh.
did couple projects which have a form. Like we know how to create a form, just regular form. But
Yeah.
behind it, what to do like with that form to create, for example, like small database, like for sign up, like you know the like maybe just to
Yeah.
know how to work with the MongoDB, like you have like your small database, like you know maybe deploy in the like Lambda AWS or something like this, like just have some knowledge about it, like base knowledge, you know.
I think that's the question to Murat, guys. You guys need to talk to him. If he needs to change the curriculum or add additional practice time to learn all of those stuff, then yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it's not part of the cohort curriculum. I know that over time, a lot of things changed. Back in the day, there was I forgot the guy's name, but he was teaching us the backend side too. I mean, just like I did teach you guys the backend side too, right? With the CRUD application, with the Node.js. But all AWS stuff, it's definitely out of the scope, in my opinion.
It's look like if you go to see the jobs right now, it's look like the front end is like requirement is just they add the AWS because everywhere is AWS and MongoDB for front end. I don't know why, but the requirement.
AWS is for an Amazon, right?
Yes, Amazon owns the AWS, but it's really broad. I mean, everything is included in AWS. Yeah, talk to Murat, guys. Let's see what he says, right? You guys can definitely do some thinking after hearing his thoughts.
Okay. And one
Right.
more question. What about
Yes.
the testing? Are we gonna learn this or
Mario,
no?
yeah, Mario was teaching the testing.
With the
The test-
Cypress?
What?
Cypress?
Oh, I'm not sure about that. I have never taught the testing. Mario was teaching the testing. I think he was just teaching the how to test the React components.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's included at Cypress, but yeah.
Okay.
So in this guy right here, React demo projects, I'll share the code with you guys. Okay, so where is it?
Azamat, like,
Yeah.
the experience was like, you're showing a lot of things, like, you are destructuring, you are like, let's say, first we started with use email and suddenly turned to everything for one function, but
Yeah.
so I think it's better to have the like searching skill for us, I think, because when I write the code, I always stuck, but I always search and I find it because I don't forget the syntax, very difficult for me to remember all the syntax. And what I become
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, it is normal to forget, guys, right? It is normal not to memorize everything. You guys remember, I always struggle to find the date, right? New date, and then
yeah.
I always struggle to remember this one because it's normal. Like you don't have to memorize this thing. It's just there. You just need to search. That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
The same thing in the interviews, guys. If you forget something, you can request from the interviewer to look it up. It is normal. Some of them see this as normal, right? Do you mind if I take a look into this syntax of this function or something like that? They will allow you. They will say, okay, that's fine. Yeah, just search it up. You don't.
Searching is also big, like searching also a big skill. I mean, like if you're stuck, you right away search. So I heard that one interviewer that my friend experienced, and they said you had a very good search skill, searching. which is really like, same as a calculator, In Kyrgyzstan, for example, we are not allowed to use the calculator while we're taking the test exam. But in Europe, in Norway, so when you take the exam, they just allow you, they just give you calculator, but problem is not how you remember. Problem is that how you have a logic, behind the math. So
Okay. Yeah, in this React demo I shared in the Slack, guys, SRC and projects and to-do list contains all the logic that we implemented today. This functional component is what we did. Everything is regular functional component with the use state. And class component is, we don't have to touch the class component. It's just done with the class app extends. And functional component with use immer. Yes, we are using use immer right over here. Everything that we did over here. And we do have use reducer after JSX. Everything is done with use my custom hook. Custom. And it's just a use reducer. Right? It's not implemented produce or something like that. But this guy right here, use reducer with the immer, contains hooks, and that hooks has a produce that uses produce first, and it also uses current reducer. The current reducer is constant current reducer produce. We're wrapping this reducer function with the produce, and this use immer reducer is this guy right here. Everything is there, right, for you guys to look it up. So this Wednesday, we're gonna learn about use context. Right, the use context is very important part of React applications, and it's very useful. Some people prefer using use context instead of Redux because it's pretty much understandable compared to Redux. But since we know that use reducer, right? We all already use reducer. The logic behind use reducer is similar to Redux, right? It will be very easy for us to understand the concept behind Redux because we already know use reducer. Yeah, that's it for today. Anything for me, guys? You have anything?
So no, thank you. But what was the homework? I'm sorry. It's just returning the class component to an.
No, I don't have any homework for you guys.
Okay, cool.
All right, I think you guys did most of the stuff up until now. So let's take a look real quick. I hope I still have access. Yes, cool. Projects. React. I'm pretty sure that you guys done with most of these stuff. Redux toolkit counter. Yeah, don't worry about that. This one is done with Redux. Yeah, don't worry about that. Gmail, WhatsApp clone, we used to do that. User login using Auth0. Interesting. Code stacker. Resume tabs, to-do list, weather applications, calculator. I see that you guys pretty much done everything over here.
Yeah, it looks like we did everything from, I mean, not exact like from here, but the same projects.
Right. This cloning is just you need to just watch it out, right? It's using the Firebase. This Gmail cloning is using Redux, Firebase, and the Material UI. You guys aware of the Material UI already? WhatsApp cloning is Firebase and Material UI. Do you guys know how to use the Firebase?
Not yet. We have already project, but we need to just like use the Firebase to log in, maybe like, log out and all this stuff. Is it this why it says Firebase? Just for the login?
For next, I think
Sign up, like login.
this one is using for the whole project, like a Netflix cloning. It took 10 hours?
Okay, so this is
Wow,
what
10 hours.
already had that in mind. Okay, that's good.
These guys are crazy.
Okay, so if we jump into the,
10
feel
hours?
free to go ahead and
Who's gonna watch 10 hours from one YouTube video? It's crazy. Yeah,